Good evening and welcome to our episode 23. As always, we will start with gratitude attitude. So please gently close your eyes and take a deep breath. As you exhale, relax your body. Take another deep breath, and as you exhale, relax some more. Take one more deep breath, and this time completely let yourself go. Now, think of one thing that happened in the past week which you are thankful for. Once you have identified that, think about why you are thankful for. And now let's set it free. If you are by yourself, say it out loud what you are thankful for and why. If you are with someone, tell it to each other. So, we talked about how Buddha gave two types of teachings: compassion teachings and wisdom teachings. For the past 22 episodes, we've been discussing compassion teachings or some version of it. Although we still have about 5 or 6 sessions to go for compassion teaching, I thought I'll introduce part of wisdom teachings today. We'll talk about what is known as inherent existence. It's a deep topic, so we may take a couple of sessions discussing this. What is inherent existence? If you think about most of us, we take the existing existence of all phenomena as inherent. What does that mean? Well, let's talk about an object, a car or a house, or the clothes you have put on, or a computer or a phone, and so on. We think that it exists and does not think twice about it. As a matter of fact, we think it exists inherently and cling to it. This grasping or clinging is what brings most suffering in our lives. I know sounds crazy, right? So let's break it down. Any existing, any existence is either inherent or it's not. So what is inherent existence? A phenomena that exists from its own side is considered inherent existence. If you look at the reality, there is no such thing. Nothing can exist on its own side. For anything to exist from its own side, either it's the same as its part or collection of its part. There's no other possibility. So we're going to take an example. I'm going to pick up this flower, and hopefully you can see it. Um, See, it knows it doesn't exist. See, it's gone. All right. So here's a flower. We can all agree that this is a flower, right? I gotta keep my hand steady here. So we look at this flower and say, okay, is this a flower? Can you see just on my other hand a petal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So is this a flower? You probably will say, no, it's not. If I gave you this and say, hey, this is a flower, you will say, I'm nuts. How about I give you this? Same thing. How about I give you this? Same thing. How about I give you either this or this? Right? None of it is flower. So we all agree that none of the parts of the flower are flowers themselves. So how about collection of parts? If I give you all this, hopefully you can see in your hand and say, hey, this is a flower, right? You would not call this a flower. So there is no inherently existing flower. You say, well, then what is it that we call is a flower? It is nothing but imputation. It's a flower because we call it a flower. We just named something. It has no inherent existence. Another way to look at this is that it's a dependent existence. For example, if a blind person walks in, it's not a joke about three blind people, don't worry about that. And there's a flower on this table. For the blind person, the flower does not exist because it's not in their experience, right? Now, let's look at this phone. Can you point to the phone? Where is the phone? Is it on your screen or is it in my hand?
In your
You
hand.
see, pardon me?
In your hand.
Well, really? You see this phone because your eye senses look at a picture of the phone, right? Your brain interprets that as a phone. So the phone's not in my hand, phone's not on the screen, phone is in your mind. Because without your brain interpreting this object like a phone, the phone does not exist for you. If you go, let's say, to a remote jungle in Amazon, somebody has never seen a phone before, and you just give them this, right? They'll probably throw it as a brick, right? So it's a dependent existence. It depends for you, for your eyes to look at it, and then your brain to interpret it. So there's no inherent existence of this phone. So there are people who believe everything exists inherently, meaning from its own side. And we just showed you on the you know flower example that no such thing, right? It's not a part. A single part of a flower is not a flower, and a collection of the part is not a flower. There are people who believe nothing exists at all, but that's certainly not the case because we are experiencing it. We see this flower, we see this phone, right? So there is this middle way. It says that all phenomena are imputed or dependent on existence. Nothing exists inherently, and all existence is imputed or dependent. So let's look at another example. We all have a car parked in our garage. Let's find if that car exists inherently. For a car to exist inherently, it can either be found in its parts or it's a collection of its part. So let's begin with tires. If someone gave you four tires and say, here's Your car, give me $100,000 or $50,000, right? You'll say, get out of my sight. You won't call it a car. How about somebody gave you a bunch of bucket seats? That's not a car. How about a door or an engine or brake pads? Right? None of these parts is a car. If you take all the parts of a car and put them on the ground, four tires, one engine, four doors, seats, whatever, and somebody says, here, take it, we won't call that a car. So there is no inherently existing car. It's a car because we all decided to call it a car. And that's what's known as imputed existence. It's a deep subject. What we'll do is next week on same topic, we'll go a little bit deeper than this, uh, and just to investigate, to make sure that all of us are on the same page as to what inherent existence is and what it is not. In today's meditation, as always, we'll settle down in our hearts after a short breathing exercise. Then we'll try to focus our attention on the parts of our body that is calling for our attention. So let's say you have some pain in your hand, or your leg is tickling, or any other body part. If that's happening, we'll bring our attention to that part of the body. We'll keep our focus there until that pain or that sensation is no longer bothering us. It doesn't mean that pain is going to go away if you are in pain, but it means that our suffering from that pain will definitely go away. If we don't have any pain in our body, then we'll bring our attention to, itchy nose or scratchy arms or whatever. Once that sensation passes, we'll focus on the vast awareness and just enjoy that without any thoughts. In between, if the sensation come back, again we'll bring our attention there, focus our attention until it goes away, and then go back to observing the awareness. So it's a little bit different than what we've done before, but let's try it. So if you would please get into your meditation posture. Make sure your legs, you're in a cross-seated position, or if you're in a chair, just legs are straight. Your back is upright. Gently close your eyes. Keep your mouth just a little bit open. So any tension you may have in your jaws go away. And now take a deep breath. As you exhale, relax your body. Bring your attention to your nostrils and sensation of your breath. Feel the cool air going in and slightly warmer air coming out. Focus on your breath for a minute or two on your own. Now settle down in your hearts. Everything that happened before this moment, just imagine it melts away. Things that are yet to happen have not happened, so doesn't matter anyway. Just stay in the moment. Enjoy the joy this moment brings. If any part of your body is calling out for attention, just bring your focus, bring your attention to that part. Keep your attention there until it no longer craves that attention. If your body does not crave attention, bring your focus to clarity of your mind, which is the vast awareness. If you find yourself thinking in thoughts, just go back to your breathing sensation for about 5 to 10 breaths. If any part of your body is calling out, bring your attention to that part. Bring your focus to clarity of your mind. Just enjoy the awareness. If you find yourself thinking, please go back to sensation of your breath. Enjoy the clarity of your mind, which is the vast awareness, for the last couple of minutes. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. Okay. Any questions? Go ahead, Sunil.
So that concept that you were explaining, it's a little harder to. I
It is.
mean, I'm open to understand that, but so for example, like you use that car example, right? Like
Right,
it's
right,
in a garage or not.
right,
So what about like if we are in the middle of the road and if the someone else's car is coming to us, no
right,
matter what's, yeah.
right. So uh, it took me about a year to get that concept in my head.
Hmm.
Okay. Because it's connected to what's a bigger concept called emptiness, which is what really took time for me.
Hmm.
We'll get there. Next week, I'm going to give a couple of other examples which will make it a little bit clearer. But what you said that the car is coming on the road, right? It's a car because we are calling it a car. Uh, in Vedantas, which is different than Vedic system, in Vedantas, they call this. They always give this example, and we'll probably bring it up next week as well, where whatever you see, right, it has to depend on your senses. Whatever you think something's there, either
Hmm.
you hear it or you see it, right?
Hmm.
If you have a blind man who's also deaf sitting next to you on your driveway, both of you are sitting next to, and the car is coming. You think there's a car coming. For him, there is no car. There's no car in his experience because he's deaf, so he can't hear it, and he's blind, he cannot see it. Would you give me that much?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So for their car to exist, it has to depend on you and your senses working in certain ways. Without your senses, that car doesn't exist. So that's a dependent existence. And we'll go a little bit deeper in it next week for sure. Uh,
Yeah.
but it is a very, very profound subject. Uh, and I tried and tried and couldn't get it. And one day I'm reading something obscure, uh, something called uh, producing space and unproducing space. Totally different, mind-numbing subject. And I read one paragraph and it kind of clicked to me. I said, that makes sense. So sometime,
Hmm.
so that's why we want to give different examples
Yeah.
to see which one clicks, right? I got a couple of more examples next time, which I can bring up and see if it clears up. And then if we still not clear, then we maybe do a complete Q&A sessions like we did for after karma.
Yeah.
So we may want to do this because it is a complicated subject for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the